finally the last step. Okay, so we played with the A value. We played with a Q value, but now we're going to play with a P value. And I want you to look at this. Look at where the P value is. Normally, when we write this function, we write it as f of x equals to x squared. The A was up front, the Q was in the rear, like that. But now look how this is now changed to something that has a bracket around it, and the P value is inside the bracket with the square on the outside of the bracket. That becomes incredibly important, okay? So if we're actually playing around with that value, it's got to be within the bracket. Okay, that'll all come clear at the end of this podcast. Trust me on this one. So watch what happens here. Do you remember the A told you wide, narrow, up, upwards facing or downwards facing, opening up, opening down, happy, sad parabola. The Q moved it up and down. What do you think this is going to do? Yeah, I think it's going to move it left and right. Okay, now, so let's play around with our calculator and see what we can. Okay, so let's take a look. Here we go. Here's the x squared, just like we always planned, x squared. There's our nice little graph. There's our beautiful standard x squared graph. Now, let's go into writing what they've asked us in this question. So let's bring up the question again. It's this bracket x minus 2 squared. So we're going to take down here, we're going to put a bracket. Notice there's no a value there, so it's not changing and making it wider, narrow, up or down. We're just playing around with the x minus 2 bracket squared. Now, predictions. The prediction was when we had it on the outside and it was positive 2, it moved it up and down. Wonder what this is going to do. We know it's going to move left or right, but I'm curious, what does the negative 2 mean? Now, most people will say, oh, it's going to move to the left. Watch. It didn't. It moved it right. So, negative is not left. Negative is right. Okay, look. It moved it 1, 2 to this position right here. 2 units, and it moved it to the right. And I'll explain as to why that's going to be like that in a few seconds. I want to take this one more step. Let's go to this one and check it out. It's now plus 3. Plus 3. So if minus means move right, plus 3 means, yeah, you've guessed it, means move left. So let's see if this actually happens. Let me clear this out of here. All right, we'll leave that one there, go y equals 2, go down to our third one here, which is going to come up black. Bracket, of course, x plus 3 bracket, and now let's square it, and let's see what happens. Ready? We're predicting it's going to be 3 to the left. And sure enough, it is 3 to the left. Look, 1, 2, 3. So why is this negative 3 and this one positive 2? Why is it in the equation this guy here is positive and this guy here is negative? Good question. Okay, here's the reason why. Let me clear a lot of this stuff out of here so you can see what the original equation looked like. Take a look at this original equation. The negative is built in. See what I mean? So look what happens. If this was f of x equals to a x minus, I'm saying this is going to go 2 units to the right, which we know is positive 2. But look, the minus is already there. So if I actually put in positive 2, look at the final result. This is going to give you an f of x equals to x minus 2. Check this out when we do it for this one. This one's a positive 3, and we knew that this went over 1 to negative 3. Remember? Okay, so look at the formula. F of x then is x minus, and we're going to put in the negative 3 into here. Negative 3 squared, negative makes it an x plus 3. So it's flipped. It's flipped because the original equation has this built-in negative. So negative becomes a positive, negative, and with the positive stays a negative. Oh boy, That's going to get us, right? Well, no, let's just be smart. We'll play around with a few more things and see what happens. But now we're not talking about vertical translations anymore. We're talking about horizontal translations. So moving things left and right, okay? So this is a movement left and right, okay? All based on a value inside the squared. And remember that negative flips everything. That's really, really important. So if we choose something like this, f of x equals to x minus 5 squared, we have to remember, because that negative there, we have to try to figure out what was our original value. Our original value was just plain old 5, which means that this is going to be moving to the right 5 spots. Okay, now this, if I did this and I went x minus, or I should say plus 6 squared, remember, what would that original value be? In order to make this into a plus, that original value had to be a negative. So this is going to be a negative 6, and that's going to be a move left. You see what I mean? And we can play around with that in the calculator just to confirm things. So we're going to move right 5 and left 6. Okay, so let's go. And again, I'm just going to go right into this calculator, and we're going to use all the colors that are there. So let's move right 5. So bracket x to the right means minus 5 bracket squared. And this should move us to the right 5. Let's see. And sure enough, it is. Right? There it is. Let's go back to this. I want to move left 6. So watch what I can do. Watch this. This will probably help you understand it a little bit more. Watch. Bracket x. Here's the original, minus. But I'm going to put a bracket around here, and I'm going to put negative 6 in there. Okay, with a bracket on it, and then squared, because you know and I know a negative makes it a positive. Let's see if that actually works. Graph, and sure enough it does. There's the negative 6 right there as you put it into the calculator. There's the positive 5 right there as you put it into the calculator and put it into this equation. Out of all of this stuff, that's the hardest concept to wrap your brain around, because you've always been told moving left is negative, moving right is positive. Well, it still is. Moving left still is negative. Moving right still is positive, but you got to watch out for that formula that says x minus whatever that value is squared. Okay? That's the part that you have to always keep in the back of your mind. You do that, this is easy.